Stream delay is a wonderful thing, folks. And they're off. And we're going to start this runoff right, which is to say, with words, because Metroid Fusion is a game of many words. Dialogue is something you're going to be seeing a lot. The computer is very chatty and loves to just info dump on you. Now, normally, if they were just playing this game to get a PB, wouldn't matter, because in-game time is what we use for the boards, but in a race, you actually got to be able to text mash. So we're going to hopefully have see some high-quality text mashing from both of them. And right from the get-go, seeing Destructor pull off what we call the climb, a complex series of wall jumps to get up that shaft quickly. TG Revenge did not attempt the climb, so he still made it up in pretty good time, but it's a little bit slower. And that's honestly something we're going to be having to be very mindful of. Keep an eye on it as they both go through the game. Fusion is very linear compared to your other 2D Metroids like Super Metroid or Zero Mission. So pretty much all the time save is going to come from two things: good boss execution and clean movement. Having a good route through a room and being able to make it through the room as efficiently as possible. Just like that, they've both already made it to the quarantine bay, and TG Revenge taking a little extra hop, obviously trying to show the computer who's boss. This is a show of dominance. And we get introduced to the game antagonist, the X-Parasites, which, no matter how many times I say it, is still a really silly name for a galaxy-threatening foe here, but the point is we're going to be dealing with these space jellies throughout the game. But first, we have to get Samus up to par, because all she's got is this little pea shooter. It does very little damage. And keep an eye on what Destructor's doing here. You'll see doing plenty of wall jumps, and also you'll see Destructor shoot as he's landing. That lets him land a few frames sooner. It's called a shot cancel. Because basically, the thing about Samus's movement in this game is you want to be running as much as possible, because jumping is slow. If you're jumping horizontally, you're going more slowly than if you're running horizontally. And if you're in the air longer than you have to be, that's frames. That's frames. There's a lot of jumping in this game, surprisingly. Unsurprisingly. So anything you can do to minimize the amount of time you spend in the air is good. And shooting as you land makes Samus lands a few frames earlier, so you're going to see them both attempt that as often as they dare. Meanwhile, a few more words, because we haven't had enough of those yet. Fun fact, this is actually the first time that Adam has ever mentioned, years before Other M. Thankfully, not much to wait. Destructor picking up the first power-up of the game, the missiles, and TG Revenge not far behind. Missiles and fusion are actually very important. Not just because they do more damage than your beam this early on in the game, but also because there are several enemies that can only be beaten by missiles. Particularly the core X's that come out of most of the bosses. So being able to keeping an eye on your missile count is pretty darn important in this game, because if you run out, you're gonna have to spend some time farming X-Parasites and just... you're gonna waste time. Alright, both of them seeming to have a pretty good text smashing here. The text is moving at a nice continuous pace. And right away, we're going to see both of them grab these two missile tanks, one right there along the way, and one hidden right here in this room. Now, this is any %, so they're only going to grab exactly what they need and no more. In this case, you want to grab those first two, because Arachnus, the first boss, takes 15 missiles. So if you don't grab them, you're going to have to be shooting with your normal beam, and that's just going to take forever. Alright, Destructor trying to get through that door. Having a little bit of trouble, because unfortunately the eye doors in this game are absolute trolls. You want it to have the pupil like that. Is Revenge gonna... Oh, I thought Revenge was gonna have no beams. Only gets a one beam eye door. Very nice luck there. So much to talk about. Destructor having a perfect Arachnus. Arachnus did not roll at all. and having a very good core fight. We'll talk about the door again in a second here. Let's talk about Arachnus. Arachnus can roll or not roll. You want him to not roll because he's invincible. Oh, Revenge gets a roll. Hopefully you'll only get one roll. Kill it before it rolls a second time, and got him. Now, Revenge only has 2 missiles, but needs 3. Managing to pick up a green X and is going to try for... Oh, did not try for it. Now, you saw Destructor manage to take out that core in 2 rounds instead of Revenge's 3. That's because of a trick called double missiles. If you get 2 missiles inside its box, hits box while it's forming, or get to fly sideways into 2 missiles while you're shooting vertically, it turns out that round core X has a square hitbox. So you can get to fly into 2 missiles at the same time. You skip one of those cycles of invincibility frames, and you can kill it a round faster. And considering how many core X's there are in this game, you're going to see them trying it every single boss, and it can save many, many seconds over the course of the run. In fact, I believe the timing is for every double missile you don't get, you lose 3 seconds. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but considering that later on core X's take 6 missiles, you want to get as many doubles as you can. Alright, now Destructor getting ready to head down to the sectors with 20 missiles. There's actually an extra missile tank which we might see Revenge grab on the main deck. We'll wait and see here in a moment to see what they decide to do. Meanwhile, pay no attention to the Samus without eyes. Yep, Revenge going for that main deck missile. Now, here's the thing about missiles. In an ideal world, everyone would run this game any percent with 35 missiles, but that's leaving a lot to luck. So most runners will opt to go for 40 missiles, and some folks will actually opt to go for 45. Grabbing that main deck missile tank there is usually the 45 missile, the extra one you grab. You grab it this early because Sector 1 is very tight on missile management, which is the sector they're both heading to right now. So Revenge might opt to do a couple of faster strats with the extra missiles, or might just be playing it safe, because running out of missiles in Sector 1 will cost you a lot of time because you're going to have to end up farming green X's. Alright, Destructor going through that long text there, and Revenge not far behind, still staying right on Destructor's tail. Alright, the gimmick in this sector is there are 5 atmospheric stabilizers that have been infected by the X, basically future HVACs. And Samus needs to get rid of the X infestation by hitting it with 3 missiles. Turns out you can actually also use a charge shot, but neither of them have the charge beam yet, so... Alright, let's see what Destructor does in this next room. This next room has a couple of possible strats. He's going for the jump strat, which to conserve missiles. Another important thing to note in Sector 1 is that both of them are going to be trying to maintain as high health as possible, because in Metroid Fusion, if you have full health, you will always get a green X drop, which is 2 missiles if you pick it up. Destructor having a very clean fall through that shaft with the pirates, Revenge having good placement of that first atmospheric stabilizer, and getting good green drops too. Revenge will hopefully try to keep health full, and... Oh, taking a slightly slower strat through this room, but a safer one to hopefully maintain full health, and uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, Revenge actually opting to grab an extra energy tank here in Sector 1. This is one of the less time-consuming energy tanks to grab, but usually, at most, you'll see folks grab 4, but I think we might see Revenge grab 5 E-tanks or more this run. We'll have to see. Alright, Destructor will finish with the last of the atmospheric stabilizers before the boss here. So he just has this vertical climb to go, and then will be on his way to the eye door. And with those 2 green drops, is completely set on missile count. Okay, Revenge only has 1 more stabilizer to go, opting to go back and grab that green X. Can't blame him. You need to have 3 missiles to deal with that eye door. Now, Destructor trying to go for a double missile on the eye door, having a little bit of trouble with the setup. The thing about eye doors is they can either reveal their weak point or shoot beams at you, and you can get a maximum of 4 beams between it showing its vulnerable spots. So for that door, you can get up to 12 beams before you can actually finish it off. Now Destructor's going to try to get some doubles on this beam core. This beam core is a little bit different. Oh, gets a double missile and finishes off in 3 rounds instead of 4. These beam cores have an eyeball that opens up and you have to shoot it there instead of just hitting it in this anywhere like you do with the other cores, so it's a little bit hard to get doubles. But Destructor still manages to get one and get the sweet spot. Sweet spot is a trick where if you know exactly where the Core X will float once you kill it to pick up the power-up, if you kill it right on the spot where it would float, you don't actually have to wait for it to fly across the room and you can pick it up immediately, and that'll save you a few seconds. Yeah, the amount of times that you save for getting a double missiles and a sweet spot over not doing them is substantial. TG Revenge going for doubles as well. Not quite getting the doubles. Got the setup, but doesn't have quite the timing. And you see there, had to wait for it to float over. Didn't get sweet spot, but at least now has the charge beam. Still a few rooms behind Destructor, but not giving it up yet. Alright, Destructor got the last atmospheric stabilizer and is on his way out of Sector 1. And you keep an eye on Revenge's screen here, you'll see him hit that gate really quickly while he runs through the door. Fun thing about the charge beam, if you start holding a charge before you go through a door, when you come out the other side, you will always have a full charge. It's a free charge. Might as well take advantage of it. But wait! There's more. If you let go of the button while you're transitioning through that door, you will always fire the shot on the first frame available. Which in some spots, like that room right there, where that was that gate, lets you open those gates as early as possible so you don't run into them when you enter the room. It's a minor time save, saves you frames, but you know what? This is a game of frames and very small time saves. They add up very quickly because we're talking about a run that's the better part of an hour and a half long here. Now, Revenge now making their way out of Sector 1 on the way back. Destructor already on his way to Sector 2. So here's the thing about Sector 2. You know, we were talking about how Sector 1 is a sector that's all about missile management and how important it was to keep your eye on your missile count. Well, Sector 2 is the sector that can just outright kill you. It's all about the health management, because there are these enemies called Zoros that are kind of like red slug things that are on the floors and the walls. They do 50 damage. Actually, no, they do more than 50 damage. And they're all over the place. It's very easy to run into them, and at this point in the game, they only have 2 E-tanks, so you run into the Zoros too many times, your run is over. It's very easy to accidentally die in Sector 2 on this first visit, if you're playing sloppy. So hopefully we're going to see Destructor and Revenge both have a very deliberate route through the first few rooms of Sector 2, killing only the Zoros they have to kill, and avoiding the rest. The thing is, they're always in the same places, but they're not always moving in the same direction, so they're going to have to react differently depending on, if you saw Destructor right there, having to stop to kill that Zoro. If that Zoro is moving down, he can actually just wall jump around it, but he had to stop and kill it because of its placement. In this sector, just knowing how to deal with all the different possible enemy placements is very important. It can save you time. Destructor having a little bit of trouble with his wall jumps there, but managing to make it into the security room, and now the blue doors are open. And Revenge already in Sector 2, and about to make it through the first room here in a moment. And you can see Destructor moving through that room with the 2 Zoros, how important good use of missiles and charge beam is to maintain your movement. Because if you stop to jump over those, or you run into them, you're going to be in a world of hurt. Oh, Revenge opting to kill that Zoro. Now, that's a questionable move, because now you're going to see here that wall above has an extra Zoro on it. That's why you don't want to kill any of the Zoros in that first room, because it makes it harder for you to climb. But Revenge just opting to play it safe. Which is not a bad move, honestly. Like I mentioned, Sector 2 is very dangerous this first visit. Alright, Revenge opening the blue doors. Meanwhile, Destructor has the bombs and is moving on. Unfortunately, in this game, the bombs are not quite as good as they are in other 2D Metroids. The fuse on them is just too darn long, and the blast radius is just too small. So you're not going to be able to do any infinite bomb jumps. In fact, you're not going to see much use with the bombs once they get the spring ball, which is coming from the next boss. Yes, they actually go on Future Amazon and order their power-ups. And you see Revenge, they're actually taking advantage of a very useful side effect of the charge beam. Holding a charge beam while somersaulting gives you a pseudo screw attack, which lets you outright destroy some weaker enemies, and in many cases just lets you avoid damage. Very useful thing to do, so you'll often see them holding a charge even when they're not planning to shoot anything. Okay, Destructor is actually coming up shortly here on the next boss, and the next die door. This time we're actually going to see a little bit of a preview to one of the cool things about the charge beam. Remember how it used to take 3 missiles to kill an eye door? Well, in this case, watch Destructor use this charge beam. Stands nice and close to it when it opens its weak spot. Instead of 3 missiles, it's just 1 shot. But he's got to stand close to it because of a unique property of the charge beam, which we're going to come back to that. Remember I said that. Put a pin in it. But first, let's play everybody's favorite game show. How many jumps? How many extra jumps is Zazabi going to give Destructor? 1 extra jump so far. 2 extra jumps. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 extra jumps. That one looked promising. It looked like it could have been a low count, but got a whole bunch of jumps in that last phase. Now we're going to see Destructor try to get the doubles here. Gets the first double. Tries to set up for the second one, and gets it. A 4-round core in 2 rounds. That's the magic of double missiles, friends. Alright, now Revenge is going to try to take care of the door with 1 shot as well here. While Destructor is making his way out. Alright, and how many jumps will Revenge get? If Revenge gets a low count, like a 3 to a 6, can gain back some time here. The thing is, if Zazabi's being mean, it can give you up to 12 jumps. 1, 2, 3. Not a promising start. 4, 5, 6. Oh boy. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We got an 11 jump Zazabi. Oh, that's unfortunate. 1 off from the maximum number of jumps. That's not good news for Revenge, but thankfully, all I gotta do now is take care of the core, and he gets high jump and ball jump. Seems like looks like Revenge hasn't quite gotten the hang of double missiles. So he had to take 4 rounds to take out that core instead of just doing it in 2. But that's neither here nor there. Revenge is on their way out. Destructor making it past the free sax chase. You can actually skip that sax sequence, but it's very risky. So I doubt we're going to see Revenge try to go do a sack skip here. Probably just going to wait. The safe strat is, as soon as the sax shoots to open the door, just run all the way to the right, and it will never spot you. Just like that. And now Destructor heading down into Sector 4, and Revenge not far behind. Now, Sector 4 is a very cool sector in many ways. It has some very slick movement, and it also has a boss that can gain you or lose you a fair bit of time. So we're going to hopefully get to see some nifty movement from both of them here. And we'll get to talk a little bit more about the charge beam, because the boss in Sector 4 is the poster child for why the charge beam is so good in this game. Oh, both of them going through a different save room at the same time. That's kind of fun. Alright, now to get through Sector 4 quickly, you're going to see Destructor take advantage of all the tricks in Samus's playbook. Wall jumps, pseudo-screws, jump extends, and another trick that was added to Samus's playbook in this game, which is, if you're doing a neutral jump and you press jump again, you will enter a somersault, even if you're in the air, which is extremely useful. You'll see it right here. Oh! Actually, Destructor trying to missile that wall crab and not quite getting it. That's the other thing to be mindful of in this game. Samus is still pretty weak at this point, so even minor enemies can do a lot of damage. Alright, now get through this vertical room. Those little spiky enemies can be in a variety of places, so depending on where their placement is, Destructor could have an easy or hard time having no trouble making it through that room. And Revenge now also entering Sector 4. Let's see how they handle it. And Destructor... Oh, no. A skeleton? That's not a boss, that's just a skeleton. I don't think anyone's buying it. It's time for Ceres. Ceres is the boss that a lot of folks love to hate, because here's the fun thing about the charge beam. The charge beam has 3 parts, 2 beam bits and a flash on Samus's arm. If you hit something with all 3 parts, it does 26 damage, and on Ceres, if you hit it with all 3 parts twice, you kill it outright. There's the first hit. Destructor's going to try to kill Ceres in 2 cycles. Looks like he's got a good setup, and got it. 2 cycle Ceres, that's what you want to see. This core takes 5 missiles, gets a double off the get-go, needs 1 more double and 1 more single. Got the double. Now let's see if we can get the sweet spot, and oh! Doesn't quite get it. But that was still a very solid Ceres fight. Meanwhile, Revenge making his way through Sector 4, showing off some pseudo-screw. Oh, not quite getting the jump extend there. That's another fun little trick you're going to see throughout the run. If you're somersaulting and you shoot, Samus actually, her vertical velocity just stops for a moment, which lets you go a little bit further horizontally, which in some cases lets you avoid having to ledge grab or just lets you land on platforms that you otherwise might not be able to reach. Alright, Revenge taking it a little bit safe there, trying to avoid hitting the crab. Okay, now we're gonna see Destructor take advantage of the speed booster that he got from beating Ceres. We're first immediately just going to Shine Spark directly back to the right. Oh no! Destructor not getting a Shine Spark, going to have to go past the Missile Tank of Shame. That probably means we're just going to see Destructor opt to avoid a Missile Tank later to offset it. Now let's see if Revenge can get that 2-cycle Ceres. The first hit, we always know where Ceres will be for the first hit. So this first hit, nice, got the first hit. Now, Ceres' movements are in pairs, so if you can see what its first movement is, you can figure out where it's going to be for the second one, and oh! Was in the right spot, but did not hit it. Let's see if Revenge can get the... Revenge getting the 2-cycle, very nice. Doing a little bit of some victory squats, helping Samus get swole. Alright, Revenge going for the slow but steady strat here. Can try to get the... Oh, I was worried gonna fall in the water there. Tried to get the sweet spot, didn't quite get it, but Ceres is down. We got 2 cycles, very nice. Alright, Destructor talking to the computer on its way out. Revenge not opting to try to go for the Shine Spark strat in this room. Actually opting to do it the intended route. And we see Destructor doing an elevator spark there. We take advantage of Shine Spark throughout this run. It is a very useful ability. And they added a couple of new tricks to it here in Fusion. It no longer drains health like it did in Super Metroid. And also, if you Shine Spark horizontally into a slope, you just take off running again, which is pretty nice. Alright, now we're going to see if TG Revenge can actually get that return spark after lowering the water level. Gain a few seconds back on Destructor there. Oh! Does not. I think Revenge might actually be opting to pick up the missile tank on purpose, which is understandable. Missile count is something that you have to be mindful of throughout this run, and even if you have 40 or 45, you can run out if you're playing it, if you're just opting to use a lot of missiles. Oh. But Revenge, let's see, Revenge tries to get, there's one more trick to get out of Sector 4. I don't know what Revenge will go for, but we'll see. Oh, looks like trying to go for the setup, and didn't quite, nope. It's actually possible to do a low height Shine Spark to the right through this room, instead of stopping to run. But Revenge, done with Sector 4 for now, making their way out, and Destructor, already in Sector 3, about to open the green doors of the security room. Mentioning in chat, yes indeed, Metroid Fusion came out in 2004, the same year as Metroid Prime, in fact. 10 years after Super Metroid in 1994. Alright. Now Destructor on his way to get super missiles, but first... Oh! Pause buffering! Pause buffering like a Metroid pleb. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Like I mentioned before, for the leaderboards, we actually use in-game time. So anytime that you're not controlling Samus, which includes dialogue or the pause screen, it doesn't actually add to your timer. So pause buffering is completely free if you're going for a PB. It just makes you look like a pleb in a race, even though you're not. Destructor is no pleb. Destructor knows exactly what he's doing. But that trick you saw him do was called a Shine Break. We're gonna see if Revenge will try it. Oh, looks like Destructor is trying for Data Spark, a very tight trick here. And Destructor gets the Data Spark, but bonks on the door. That's unfortunate. But can't pat himself on the back just yet. It's time for the box. Box's security robot. Gonna have to take it out with some well-timed diagonal shots here. Looks like he's got good positioning. Got the box exactly where he wants it. So should be able to finish it off right here. Perfect. That is an excellent box fight. So now Destructor's already on his way, heading on his way out of Sector 3, and Revenge entering. So Revenge is going to have to move to the left here to open the security doors. Let's see if he tries the horizontal Shine Spark or just does it intended. Goes for the Shine Spark and gets it. Very nice. The game actually wants you to jump through that wall and then charge a second Shine Spark, but it's faster just to use one horizontal Shine Spark to break through both sets of speed booster blocks. Okay, with Sector 3 down, Destructor is on his way to Sector 6. This is actually one of the times, again, like I mentioned before, where it's important to keep your eye on your missile count, because you want to have 3 missiles heading into Sector 6, because there's going to be a missile barrier you encounter right there at the beginning. And you need 3 missiles to break it. And if you don't have that, you have to do a Shine Spark strat, which isn't super difficult, but it does lose you a little bit of time later because you have to stop and bomb a wall on the way out instead of just doing it on the way in. You know, Revenge picking up Bob, everybody's favorite so-called unskippable missile tank. And Destructor dealing with betrayal. Sounds like somebody's talking to the computer with some funny business. But with that, Revenge now having the super missiles, both of our runners have the best missile upgrade. Super missiles do 50 damage to the missiles 10, and make the most satisfying sound when they explode. Now, Sector 6 is not a terribly dangerous sector, as it turns out. The computer makes a big deal of worrying about the... Oh! Actually, let's see how Revenge handles Box real quick. Oh, missing a few early shots, but still managing to get the good diagonal angle. The thing about makes it difficult about Box is that its weak spot, when it's standing up, is kind of in there. It's not actually flush with the legs, so it's a little bit harder than you think to hit those diagonal missiles. And Revenge takes out Box in fairly short order. And with 8 missiles, Revenge is also in good shape for Sector 6, assuming they don't use too many missiles getting out of Sector 3 here. But as you see in Destructor's screen, having to play hide-and-seek with those blue X's, the blue X's are kind of the big thing to worry about in Sector 6, because Samus can be hurt by the cold because of the Metroid vaccine that saved her life. So if these blue X's touch you, they knock you back, and they do, I want to say, 45 damage. Actually, no, 60 damage. They do a lot of. They do over half an E-tank of damage. There aren't that many of them on the way, and there's that E-tank you saw Destructor grab, which everybody grabs because it's along the way. You might as well. So there's very little danger of dying here, but you still have. But if you're coming in here with low health, you still have to be careful. And it's time to deal with the sacks again. This time we're going to actually poke it with a stick. Because we could wait for it to leave, or alternatively just have it do a little bit of yakety sax action here, just like that. So long, sucker. Destructor about to head into the giant Core X fight, and Revenge leaving Sector 3 and going to be entering Sector 6 shortly. Oh, Destructor getting 0 I-beams on that door. Very nice. At this point in time, you don't have to worry about hitting it more than once, but you still have to worry about getting up to 4 I-beams, so... I-doors can... Now, here, Giant Core X is my least favorite boss. If you hit it with both parts of the charge beam and the flare, it's 4 rounds. Destructor's gotten 3, and... Oh, gets away from him. It's going to be more than 4 rounds, I'm afraid. 5 rounds. Opening up with a double, though. Now here's the thing to note, though. Super missiles are a fantastic power-up, but they make double missiles harder to get. Because super missiles travel faster, and the cooldown between shots is longer. So you can't use the same timing you used for the original missiles. You have to actually have it fly in at you from a higher angle, and time your shots differently. And every time they get a missile power-up, they're going to have to relearn a different timing. So when we get the ice missiles, it'll be the same thing. And it actually gets harder as the game goes along. Alright, Destructor on his way out of Sector 6 here. Now having the hideous mustard suit. And Revenge entering Sector 6 with aplomb. Bombing that wall. Taking care of the barrier, having very nice missile count there. Health a little bit low, but should have no trouble dealing with the X's, the blue X's, as long as they freeze them along the way. Alright, now, Destructor might opt to actually skip this missile tank here. Okay. Since Destructor grabbed the extra missile tank in Sector 4, he's probably going to opt to skip another missile tank later. I'm just not sure which one he'll decide to skip. Possibly the one near the elevator on the main deck. We'll have to see. Because I think Destructor does opts for 40 missiles instead of 45. Alright, Revenge grabbing that E-tank. And about to go have a little bit of fun with the sacks here. Yeah, to anyone who played this game casually as a kid, you remember that the sacks entering with its loud, clomping footsteps and its ominous music was a surprisingly frightening thing to deal with. thankfully, once you start speedrunning this game, you realize how absolutely backward its AI is. You worry less about it. But that's not to say that the Sax is not dangerous. The Sax is actually still incredibly dangerous. And in fact, we've had several folks die to the Sax in this tournament so far. And not even during the final fight, just throughout, because the Sax does a lot of damage anytime you encounter it. So you can never not take it seriously. Revenge unfortunately getting several I-beams there on the Giant Core X door, so now let's see how they tackle the Giant Core X. Hopefully see if they can try to get the Force Cycle, or at the very least keep it under control. Alright, so far so good. Oh, I think Revenge was releasing those charge shots a little bit early. I don't think he was hitting the Core X with the flare. So far it's 4 hits, and still gets a 5 cycle. Very nice. Solid Giant Core X fight. Just making sure to get the hits. Let's see if Revenge goes for the sweet spot here, and not quite. But with that, both our runners now have the Varia suit. They can no longer be frozen by the Sax, and they take half damage. Not that you'll ever notice that, just because everything just starts doing more damage from here on out. Thanks, game designers. Now, Destructor is going to be moving through this large room in Sector 5. Now, Sector 5 is a cold sector, and it's full of Rippers. And Rippers just love to say hello by smashing into your face. So in this room, sounds like a very obvious thing to say, but the best way to get through this room quickly is to just not get hit. Because the Rippers will just start chasing you, and if you know where they are and the possible places they can be, you can more easily deal with them and avoid getting knocked back. Because you start getting pinataed by the Rippers, you lose a surprising amount of time in that room. Alright, Revenge moving cleanly through the rest of Sector 6 here. Getting out, managing to not wanting to deal with the Puffers, which is fair. Puffers are terrible and I hate them. And Destructor opening the yellow hatches in Sector 5. Let's talk a little bit about Sector 5, though. Here's the thing about Sector 5. We're going to visit Sector 5 3 times in this run. And they're going to go through a lot of the same rooms over and over again. So, especially if you run this game enough, it's very easy to accidentally lose track of which visit you're doing. So, with any luck, we're not going to see it today. But it's very possible to forget where you're going, and maybe start leaving before you visit the data room, or go to the data room when you're not supposed to. This is definitely a thing that can happen, and it's always embarrassing, but it happens to all of us. But with that, Destructor has picked up the missile downgrade, now has ice missiles. Goodbye, super missiles, we barely knew ye. Now, I jokingly call them a downgrade, because ice missiles... They do more damage, yes, but they make doubles harder to get because, again, longer cooldown between shots, and you can no longer one-shot enemies with missiles because you'll always take at least 2 missiles to kill enemies now. Alright, but Destructor doing his final escape of this first visit to Sector 5 here, while Revenge is leaving Sector 6 and will be entering Sector 5 here in just a moment. Alright. And hey, what's that in the background? I don't know what it is, but it's shaped like a friend. But now it's time for the moment that I'm sure many of you have been waiting for. It's time for everybody's favorite part of the Fusion run. Oh my goodness, look at those bright flashing red lights. It's a party in here. Actually, no, it's not a party. It's an emergency. It's an emergency in Franker-Z. Chat, please spam Franker-Z. It is your duty. Alright, Revenge entering Sector 5 now. Gonna be making his way down to the security station and then to get ice missiles. I'm going to talk a little bit about Emergency while we get a moment here while Revenge is making their way down to the security station. Emergency is actually one of the more difficult parts to learn when you're picking up this game. The movement in it is surprisingly tight, and it's very easy to fall into lava or just take a lot of damage in this section because there's lava everywhere, and there are stretchies everywhere, and you need to be freezing stretchies in order to get through the rooms as quickly as possible. Which means you also got to keep an eye on your missile count. There's a lot of things you have to be keeping track of in Emergency. Destructor's missile count looks good, so I doubt he has much to worry about here. But that said, anything can happen. If you miss-shoot, you might kill a stretchy or not freeze a stretchy, or you might break a block you're supposed to stand on, fall in the lava. So let's just see how he handles it. Revenge, meanwhile, continuing to move very quickly through Sector 5 here. A few rooms to go, moving to the left, and they'll be at the yellow security room. Destructor making good time so far. Alright. Very nice. Freezing that stretch when it's further out. Avoiding an extra ledge grab. Oh! Having a little bit of trouble making up the stretchies in that room, but so far still making decent time. As you can see, it's a very quick... This Emergency is a very quick sequence of jumps, wall jumps, climbs, shots, and any one of them going wrong will lose you several seconds. But Destructor making it to the eye door at 440 something, which is solid, and a 442 door time is very respectable. Meanwhile, Revenge picking up ice missiles, so staying very close behind. Oh, Destructor getting a double on the core, getting the double and the sweet spot. That's exactly what you want to see. Looks like it's going to be a 429, which is a very good emergency time. Well done, Destructor. Alright. Now Revenge going to be making their way out of Sector 5 here. Taking full advantage of their new ordnance. So I hope you all haven't put your Franker Z's away just yet, because it's going to be time for more of them here in a moment. Alright, we're going to see probably an interesting set of little bit of movement coming up here from Destructor in the next room. This vertical climb up the shaft involves a lot of very tight movement and good use of ice missiles to get out of here without getting hit by the stretchies. So let's see if Destructor can do this. Looks good, and look at that climb. And meanwhile, Revenge having an emergency of their own here. Chat, let me see your Franker Z's. Alright, Destructor almost done with Sector 3, and Revenge about to head down into Sector 3. So we're going to see a high five of sorts here momentarily. Now let's see how... I'm curious to see how Revenge goes through Sector 3 for the emergency. Because there's definitely... because there's actually multiple ways of going through some of those rooms, and we've seen Revenge take some movement that's a little bit different than what we're used to seeing, so I'm curious to see how they handle it. Meanwhile, Destructor about to go do the thing that Super Metroid runners don't. That's right, he's on his way to save the animals. This means going back up to the main deck. Revenge, meanwhile, moving on down to lower Sector 3. One thing to know about the main deck, that even with power-ups like High Jump and later on with Space Jump, a lot of the movement through these rooms ends up being very similar to earlier. Main deck movement is one of those things you just kind of gotta practice. And a little bit different here, though. Destructor going for the... Yep. Pulling off that optimal climb there. Yeah, Revenge actually still making pretty solid time through emergency here. Definitely doing all right on missile count there, no danger. Opting to stop to take out the stretchies. Which is fair, those stretchies do a lot of damage. I'll be curious to see if Revenge opts to take the intended route through this room or actually climb the side hoppers. Alright, taking the intended strat. Alright, 4:36 door time. Actually, only about a little bit less than 10 seconds behind Destructor's time, so Revenge having a respectable emergency here, although not, again, I'm going to have to take out the I-core traditionally, so that's going to be 4 missiles. Let's see if it goes for the sweet spot. Meanwhile, I hope y'all were hearing those delightful animal sounds. Ah, Destructor opting to skip that's the missile tank that he's skipping. He just opted to skip the missile tank in the animal room. And don't worry, this isn't the last time we're going to see the animals. They'll be back. They'll be back soon enough. Destructor taking a little bit of time to field questions in the chat while on the elevator, which is fair. The elevator rides can be a little bit slow in this game. But Revenge now has the wide beam, Spazer beam, which is pretty much equivalent to the Spazer beam from other Metroids. And making their way out of Sector 3 to go save the animals. Oh, Revenge unfortunately taking a tumble into the lava there. If you're on those monkey bars on the ceiling and get knocked off, if you hold up, you'll actually re-grab them, but it seems that Revenge might have been holding right and might have let go of up by accident there because did not re-grab that. Alright, now Destructor is probably going to grab the missile tank through the wall there. Yep. This is the one that I thought he might skip, but instead he opted to grab this one and skip the other one. Hello, Destructor. Alright, Revenge finishing their climb through the shaft in Sector 3. Now just making the final approach to the navigation room, and will be on their way up to the main deck. You know, Destructor on his way to get the loudest power-up. I'm, of course, talking about the power bombs. Power bombs in this game are very loud and very whooshy. But in this second visit to Sector 5, we're actually going to see the first of the 2 Sector 5 Shine Sparks. The harder one, in my opinion. So we'll see Destructor get a Shine Charge up here, go down, and jump through the door. Take advantage of that trick to release on the first frame, and Shine Spark to the right. Just like that. It is the less cool looking of the 2 Shine Sparks in Sector 5, but the harder to pull off. Alright, hopefully Destructor not going to forget where he's trying to go here. Alright, into the data room, getting those power bombs. And Revenge, meanwhile, on the elevator up to the main deck. Yeah, fun thing about power bombs, this game gives you way too many of them. Because it gives you 10 from the get-go, and that's all you need. We're never going to pick up another power bomb tank, we never need more than 10. But the game gives you 70 power bombs. What are you going to do with all these power bombs? Have a one-woman fireworks show? I don't even know. Oh yeah, there's also a sax chase here, but you never actually see it. You still gotta be careful, though. It's actually possible to die in that room, because the ice beam does 2 energy tanks of damage. I want to say 203 damage? Alright, but let's see if Destructor goes for the cool strat in this room, the Kadoom strat. And, oh, I love this strat, it looks so cool. If you move through the room fast enough, you can freeze that crab before it falls and actually wall jump up the left side like that. It's a little bit faster, and it just looks so darn cool. Alright, TG Revenge, taking the intended strat through this little stretchy room here, not getting the shine break. And let's see how fast the animals are for Revenge. Because the animals coming out of that door are actually a bit of RNG. They could come out quickly, they could come out slowly, and that was not the quickest animals, but also not the slowest I've seen. Alright, now Revenge is going to actually grab those missiles that Destructor skipped. This is usually one of the tanks you'll see folks grab if they're going for 40 missiles. And just like that, Destructor on their way down to Sector 5 to grab those power bombs. And Destructor on their way back up to the main deck. Because the computer wants to say hello. I sure hope nothing, yeah, there's a power outage. Elevator stops. So now Samus, aside from wearing many hats, including Bounty Hunter, now has to wear the hat of Electrician and figure out why in the world has the power gone out in the station. Let's see how the luck is for Destructor in this little room here. Those enemies on the ceiling, they drool on you acid. And if they want to drool on you and stop you from speed boosting, they just will. There's really not a thing you can do about it. And just like that, back at the ship. Destructor not going to take a safety save there. Alright, now I expect Revenge to also go for the missile tank here to the left of the elevator. Right on. Look at the animals! Look at them! Look at these sweet friends. Why wouldn't you want to save them? Unfortunately for Destructor, though, having to fix the electricity means having to fight the six-legged Spoder. I'm, of course, talking about Yakuza. Yakuza is one of those fights that is pretty darned annoying when you're first learning the speedrun. Sometimes it gets a little bit easier to deal with the more you practice it, but it never stops being a nuisance. Ideally, you can take it out when it only opening its mouth twice, but it can move around the room multiple times before it actually opens its mouth that second time, so... Are we going to get 0 rounds? Are we going to get 4 rounds? It's hard to tell. Only way to find out is just to wait and see what happens. Thankfully, the first time it opens its mouth is off-screen. You can just do it even if you can't see it. You'll see Destructor shoot straight up here and scroll the screen. Just like that. He is actually doing damage to Yakuza with that. Now it's up to luck. You'll see him let himself get grabbed. That resets the cycle faster. And, oh, come on, Yakuza, open up. Oh. And, okay, that wasn't too bad. So now, into phase 2. This is the completely reactionary phase. You just have to basically react to however Yakuza's moving and get missiles into its mouth. Oh, Destructor missing a few missiles here. This is another one of those fights where it's sometimes nice to have the extra 5 missiles so you don't run out of missiles in the core. And again, since they have ice missiles, those doubles are harder to do once again. In fact, Destructor missing one. Missing 2 doubles. Alright, Revenge. Oh! Revenge making it through the Sax chase to Sector 5. No trouble. I'm taking an extra jump there, but making it through safely. Revenge heading out of Sector 5 now, going to go back to the ship and fight Yakuza. And Destructor has activated the auxiliary power, because defeating the Spoder did not fix the power. There's one more thing we have to do. Ooh, Revenge. Getting that first frame shot to break that barrier in Sector 5. If you don't do the trick that we talked about, where the firing on the first frame when you pass through that door, you have to actually stop and lay a power bomb to break that barrier. But both Revenge and Destructor getting that first frame shot to just plow right on through it with the speed booster. That's some top-notch speed tech. And Destructor dealing with the scary stacks chase, the one where you have to let it chase you. Now you can actually go into the next room and wait for it to walk up to the wall and leave you alone, or you can just shoot through the floor while it's chasing you. It's obviously faster to do the latter, but if you're not careful, it can kill you. We actually did see a death in that very room while shooting through the floor earlier this week. Like I said, you can never take those stacks sequences for granted. It can and will end your run. Okay, Revenge heading back up to the main deck here on the elevator, and the power is about to go out. Eel and Destructor getting 0 I-beams on the Notori door. For Phase 1 of Notori, you stand far forward enough on this platform, that back flower will not shoot spores at you. You don't even have to worry about spores. In order to keep an eye on the missile count, so you have missiles for the core, you're going to see Destructor use a combination of charge shots and missiles for the first phase, and along with power bombs. But now in Phase 2, straight missiles. Just like that. 6 missiles for this core. I'm going to try to get some doubles. So you got a double right there. Another double. And... ooh, getting the triple double and the sweet spot. That is not easy to do. That is a relatively short room, and with ice missiles, the timing is tight. Very well played. Alright, Revenge back at the ship, gonna say hello and cuddle the animals a little bit. Opting to take the safety save, which is 100% okay. I do not begrudge anybody, I would not make fun of anybody who takes that safety save there. It's no time lost, and it gives you a backup in case something goes wrong, because we have seen several folks have game overs after this midpoint, so... taking that safety save is a very smart move. But now Revenge on their way to fight Yakuza. Let's see how the Spoder treats them. Alright, meanwhile, Computer Dad is a little bit confused that why did you get the plasma beam? Oh, and congrats for fixing the power, I guess. But it's not quite that simple, because it's time for... it's time for that boss. You know which boss I'm talking about. That's right, the one boss that gave everyone... that everyone hated when they were playing this game casually. It's time for Nightmare. What exactly is Nightmare? We are not sure. All we know is it can be a difficult fight if you don't manage to keep it under control. So we'll see how it goes for Destructor here. Meanwhile, Revenge about to... ooh, getting 0 I-beams. And let's see if we can get the 2-cycle on Yakuza here. Gonna set up for the starting. Starts shooting a little bit late, so I don't know if it did enough damage. The thing about that shooting off screen, the missiles will not reach Yakuza unless you have the screen scrolled vertically a little bit. And Revenge opting to not let it... oh! Only gets 2 cycles, though, but unfortunately is going to have to wait for it to open its mouth again. Yeah, the thing about breaking free to reset it faster, you have to mash left and right very, very quickly to do that. And if Yakuza gets to the top and you don't break free, it slams you into the ground, and it really hurts. Meanwhile, Destructor pulling off the coolest Shine Spark in the game, the Nightmare Shine Spark. Going through some... getting the double reds! Getting a double red drop, that is very rare. Now Revenge having a little bit of trouble with Phase 2. Having a lot of the missiles just kind of miss or hit the stuff that Yakuza's spewing. Yeah, Phase 2 can definitely be very rough if Yakuza's uncooperative, so... but Revenge gets it and has plenty of missiles to deal with the core, so... 6 missiles, and... Revenge will have that space jump. But in case it wasn't obvious, based on the fact there's a lot of water and that Nightmare has gravity powers, Nightmare is going to give us the gravity suit. Well, let's talk a little bit about Nightmare real quick here. Nightmare has 3 phases. First phase is barely a phase. 1 charge shot with a flare and 1 missile. Nightmare will go straight into Phase 2, where everything gets super heavy. At that point, you're going to see Destructor try to jump into it, in order to get the missile to spawn right inside that thing, because if it's not in there, it's just going to fall to the ground in high gravity. But thankfully, Destructor seem to be doing it just fine, and just like that, into phase 3. This is the hard phase. Nightmare's going to slowly move toward him. He's got to try to give him as many missiles in the face as possible, and then it's going to start flying around the room. When it's flying around the room, it's following either Samus or an invisible dot. The trick is to know which of the two is Nightmare following, and then just like that, try to get to line up so you can shoot more missiles, and that's about as clean a Nightmare fight as you could ever hope to have. Very nice. And already starting off with a double, a second double, and triple double? Not quite. Still very good. Meanwhile, Revenge, having the Sax chase, opting to keep the Sax frozen a little bit longer just for safety, which is fair, because the Sax does a lot of damage. And even with... Oh, Revenge actually opting to do the safety strat here. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable shooting through the floor while the Sax is there, you just go into this room behind the wall, and the Sax will just leave, and now Revenge can go through the floor, taking as much time as they want. You know, Destructor has gotten the best upgrade of all, a suit that actually looks good. Yeah, I said it. Fight me IRL. This nice purple and teal combination just looks good, reduces damage even more, and lets you move underwater freely. How convenient. Now, what is a lot of folks' favorite section, Underwater Sector 4. Music is very soothing, but it's actually very dangerous. There's a lot of enemies that'll get in your way, and even with the gravity suit, those giant fish and the Evers, which are the things that look kind of like Dragons, do a lot of damage. It's very easy to drop down to low health in this sector if you're not careful. And Destructor has opened the last set of doors, while Revenge is facing off with Notori. I wonder... I don't think Revenge knows about the trick to stand far forward on the platform, but thankfully, with power bombs, you don't have to worry about the spores anyway. So Revenge still actually making very good time on Notori here. Just dodging the plasma beams and pounding missiles straight into it. Just like that, onto the core fight. Yeah, I'm actually very fond of the gravity suit in this game. I think it looks really good. Alright, not too much going on in this sector as far as fancy movement in any percent. You're gonna see him do a space boost through one of those green enemy pillars here. That's faster than taking the intended strat. Destructor will do that here in a moment. And then just head on up to where the diffusion missile upgrade is. Meanwhile, Revenge, on his way out of Sector 2. Soon to go face off with Nightmare as well. Alright, now diffusion missiles. Let's talk a moment about diffusion missiles. They're a power-up that is not terribly useful. We use it twice. There's 2 spots you need it in any percent. Other than that, it just makes things more difficult. Because getting doubles with diffusion missiles is extremely difficult. Even top-notch runners have difficulty doing double missiles with diffusion missiles. The timing is so difficult. And on top of that, it does this thing that makes the snowflakes fly around. It's very visually busy, and it makes double missiles difficult, so diffusion missiles are not very useful in this game, unfortunately. Thankfully, even though they take like 6 seconds to charge, you can use the same trick you use for the normal beam. If you start charging the diffusion missiles when you pass through a door, you come out the other end with a full charge, and you're going to see them both use it in the 2 spots. You saw them use it leaving the diffusion missile data room, and you're going to see it again when they make the return to Sector 1 a little bit later. So now they're going to have a... Oh, no high-fiving this time, but they're both moving into different sectors. Destructor moving into Sector 6, and Revenge heading down to Sector 5 to take care of Nightmare. Let's see if Revenge can get the setup for the Nightmare's Shine Spark. Because you really want to get the Shine Spark, even if you use a backup strat. Because having moved through those rooms normally loses over 10 seconds compared to just using the Shine Spark, even with backup strats. It's a very important trick. Meanwhile, Destructor about to go face off against Microsoft. I mean, I'm sorry, the box. Although it's infected by the X now, so we just call it the Xbox. Oh, Revenge. Looks like Revenge is going to just use the charge the Shine Spark on the floor in the room over here, which I think might be the way the game intends you to do it. Just like that. Revenge getting that Shine Spark with the backup strats, very nice. Yeah, heading down into the bottom parts of Sector 6 here. Revenge having a little bit of trouble with those pirates. It's a cool mechanic where you kill one of the fishes, they'll sometimes combine with the pirates just like you saw there, and they'll turn into fish pirates. I kind of wish the game did it more often, where you have enemies form into more powerful enemies. It's kind of a nifty thing that we don't see very much. Revenge making his way through Sector 5, and Destructor about to face off against the box momentarily here. Xbox is very similar to Box 1, except that there's electrified water, and it shoots missiles instead of bombs now. And also, the ceiling is lower, so Destructor's gonna have to be more mindful of its hopping around, because it can knock you off the ceiling just like that. And even with 4 E-tanks, Xbox does plenty of damage, so he's gotta be careful. We have seen very good runners die to Xbox and its core. It's another beam core, and the wave core does plenty of damage with shot. Ooh, just like that. Alright, Revenge about to face off against Nightmare, though, so let's see how... okay, just like that, into Phase 2, Nightmare, while Destructor takes off and gets the wave beam. Alright, Revenge finishing Phase 2, taking very little damage. Nicely done, Revenge. Now, Phase 3, this is the part that can make or break your Nightmare fight. Opting to not let Nightmare run into him, and just kind of... Oh! Almost had Nightmare... That was a surprise. That was actually a really good Nightmare manipulation. Should be able to finish it off here. Oh! Nightmare probably only has 1 or 2 missile shots left there. That's unfortunate. Just gonna have to play around with it a little bit more. Oh! Nightmare, please. Alright. Just like that. Was only 3 missiles away from finishing Nightmares. That was still a good Nightmare fight. Unfortunately, having to do an extra set of rounds there. Meanwhile, Destructor, now with the wave beam, goes down to the Sax's Metroid party here. But the party is deemed too hot for the station and is ejected into space to explode. That is the fate of partiers in the future. The Galactic Federation has a very strict no-party policy. And Revenge now also given the greatest blessing of all, a suit that actually looks good. Ah, yes. And I'm sorry, Pardrol Gaming, you have in fact missed the emergency in Franker Z. I'm sorry. But you made it just in time for long dialogue. Not the longest, but the second longest. But Revenge now has the gravity suit, and has been making his way into underwater Sector 4 to get diffusion missiles. Meanwhile, Destructor about to head up into Sector 1 here, to face off against your friend and mine, the happiest lizard, Ridley. Let me tell you, Ridley is very impatient. Been waiting for so long for us to show up, to say hello. Just can't hold it in. Just gonna let it all out and screams of excitement. So we hope y'all are ready to scream right on back at home. If your neighbors complain, tell them you're just happy to see them. You know, Revenge making it through underwater Sector 4 in pretty good time here. Also, maintaining pretty good health as well. It's not uncommon to lose over 2 E-tanks of health here if you're not careful. But Revenge doing well. Destructor about to face off with the gold pirates. Fun trick here. You're supposed to shoot him in the back, but it turns out if you just turn around really fast, the game doesn't know that you're not facing them, and easy kill. Because the game only checks that you're facing the same direction, not that you're actually behind them. Ta-da! And if your coworkers complain, tell them you're happy to see them. I mean, and also offer to send them to the Duolingo course for Angry Space Lizard. And there he is. We're happy to see you too, Ridley. What do you have to say about that? Ah, I understand. Now, the Ridley fight is, you can't really control Ridley here. You're gonna see Destructor, well, I guess not stand in the corner. Normally, you want to shoot charge shots through Ridley's hitbox diagonally, because the plasma beam does damage per frame, and if you've taken geometry, you know the diagonal is the longest part of the square. So you're gonna see Destructor shoot diagonally and follow it up with a missile, and just like that, Ridley is dead. He did take quite a bit of damage, though. That's more damage you normally want to take with Ridley. And that Corax has got to be careful, because the Corax, ooh, gets a diffusion double. Congratulate. Gets 2 diffusion doubles. That is top-tier play right there. Those are extremely difficult. That was a very good core fight. Alright, Revenge about to get the diffusion missiles, and, oh, Crystal, yeah, well, the game intends you to shoot them in the back. But it turns out that it checks that you're behind them by checking that you're facing the same direction, so you can kinda cheat the system a little bit, is all. Alright, Revenge now having diffusion missiles. Unfortunately, did not charge them through the door, so you can actually see there how long it actually takes to charge them. It is a very slow charge. But Revenge, on his way to fight Xbox, meanwhile Destructor, on his way to words. I wish I were lying. It's time for more words. Hope you... Now, it's important to note that a lot of the top runners you'll see in this game will actually opt to run on Japanese. That's because Japanese is 3 minutes faster RTA on words alone. You save 3 minutes by switching versions on text. The thing is, though, in Fusion, since you use in-game time, that doesn't matter. So if you want to learn to run this game, and it's actually a very fun speedrun, you can use whichever version you want, because your in-game time is not affected. Alright, Revenge heading down into Sector 6 for the final showdown with Box to finish things, and Destructor heading off to the final showdown with Dialogue. Here it is, everybody. The longest dialogue in the game. There are more words in this section than any other section of words. It is pure, unadulterated, resident sleeper. So it's a good thing Revenge is heading into action and excitement here in Sector 6. Kaboom! Ooh! Revenge doing the fancy R shooting strats there. Interesting thing you can do in this game. If you're holding a beam charge and you press and hold the R button, which is what you use to fire missiles, the game will automatically shoot whatever charge beam you have, even if you're somersaulting. So if you're space boosting, which is to say space jumping while speed boosting with a charge, and you press R, you will shoot that beam and not even break out, which will let you open doors and continue space boosting right through it. It is a very cool trick that is incredibly useful in 100%. Just don't mind Destructor. Destructor's just taking a nap because it's a very long dialogue. Uh-oh. Samus accidentally revealing that she sees the computer as a father figure. How awkward. Alright, but Revenge... surprisingly not shine sparking in this room. Oh no, Revenge actually taking a safety save. Okay. I can understand that, because the Xbox fight, if it knocks you down into the water a lot, it's very easy to take several E-tanks of damage here. And oh! Surprise Samus face. Alright, Revenge, show us what you got. Give the Xbox the business. Destructor getting the triumphant music on his way up to face off against Sax and finish things once and for all. Alright, Revenge opting to play it a little bit safe, but you can see Revenge actually has a very good feel for the diagonals there. Backing off just enough to get the diagonal shot, and then back up enough to not get knocked off. So that's the position you. That was a solid box 2 fight. Taking a little bit safe, but having a good feel for the distance. Well played, Revenge. Well played. Yes, indeed. With that, Revenge has the Wave Beam. That's as good as Samus's beam is going to get here. And on his way down to have another Metroid rave party. But just in case you had forgotten, because you can't hear Revenge's audio, there is no entry without authorization. Good thing we now have authorization in the form of this Wave Beam. But alright, Destructor on his way to the Sax. The Sax fight can be time-consuming unless you do the quick kill. The quick kill strat involves keeping it locked down with ice missiles so you can maximize damage. Because if it's frozen, you can use the Plasma Beam's effect on it. Otherwise, you only hit it once. And Destructor doing it perfectly here. Firing the diagonal charge shots and getting 3 beams. That's the best you can get. 2 beams here, 1 diagonal, 1 vertically, just like that. Didn't quite get it with the second shot. I'd take a third shot, but still finishing it off. Destructor's going to try for doubles on this core. Doubles on the ice core is, again, very difficult because the fusion missiles. And the ice core does a lot of damage with its hits, too, so you gotta be careful. You see Destructor actually already down to 2 E-tanks. But finishing it off, managing to get what looked to be, I think, 1 or 2 doubles there. I actually did not see how many. At least 1. And with that, Destructor is about to send the BSL station crashing into SR-388. He's got to get the heck out of here. Revenge having a chat with Computer Dad here. Managing to escape that party before the police ejected into space. Now, you might think the Sax is the final boss, and a lot of people would debate that it is the real final boss, but honestly, the Omega Metroid that Destructor's about to face off with is a final boss. It is. It can kill you. When it swipes at you, it does an entire E-tank of damage, so if it hits you 4 times, you're dead. Thankfully, we have a quick kill strat that we're going to see Destructor try here. But you still can't afford to take it for granted, because it can mess you up. Going to try to go for a low-height Shine Spark. Oh, I don't think he got it. Not quite. Very close, but not quite. Alright, so you're going to see Destructor just get hit here. That's inevitable. Then the Sax shows up. You're going to see Destructor either, once he gets the Ice Beam and turns orange, he's going to stand below the Omega Metroid and shoot either straight up or diagonally. And if he does it right, the Omega will be trapped just backpedaling in place, and he'll be able to kill it extremely quickly. But the positioning is very precise, and he has to mash fast enough, otherwise the Omega will get loose and swipe at him. So let's see how it goes here. He's going for diagonal, and he's in position, he's mashing fast enough, and the Omega is done for. That's the quick kill you want to see. And with that, Destructor is done. He just has to wait as soon as he loses control when the ship picks him up. That will be done. And Destructor... And... Destructor is so excited that he started playing music, but... With that, Destructor wins the race, finishing with an SRL time of 1:18:30, which is a race PB for Destructor by 27 seconds. Congratulations, Destructor. Meanwhile, Revenge facing off against Ridley here. Plenty of health, knows about the trick, making those diagonal shots to Ridley's hitbox exactly as you want to see. And doing the strat that you see most folks do, staying in the corner. If you stay in the corner, Ridley is less likely to grab you or start doing annoying things like pogoing on the ground. and also minimizes the chance that Ridley will start whipping you with his tail, although he still did a few times there. But Ridley is dead, and Revenge has to face off against the core to get the screw attack. Destructor, that was Destructor's. Destructor, did you PB? Did you PB? Actually, did he? Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Oh, you don't have you do not have RTA on the boards. I don't know. Oh, you play on Emu, so RTA is not a missile. But Revenge gets the screw attack and is on his way to fight the Sax. One thing I didn't mention about screw attack, which is kind of neat, in this game the screw attack is even better than the Super Metroid, because while you're screw attacking, you're practically invincible. Just about there's only really a couple of things that'll hurt you. One of them is actually the Sax, ironically enough. Otherwise, you can just pass through beams, pass through enemies, just laugh it all off. Alright, we're just going to wait. Now Destructors have to wait and see what his in-game time is. Meanwhile, see how Revenge is going to play out the last few bits of the game here. Has to go through Resident Sleeper first, but like I mentioned, the Sax fight can be very short or very long depending on how you deal with it, because if you don't keep the Sax frozen, like you saw Destructor do, when you hit it with a charge shot, it gets knocked back and invincible, like what happens with Samus, you know, just iframes. So it doesn't do as much damage, but if the Sax is frozen, you get the Plasma Beam effect, which is damage per frame. So you want to keep it frozen, not just because it's easier to manage, but because you do more damage that way faster. So hopefully Revenge knows about the quick kill setup, or at least some variation of it, and can deal with the Sax in a timely fashion. Because even with the gravity suit, the Sax can very easily kill you in that final fight. Running into the Sax does plenty of damage, and its Ice Beam still does well over an E-Tank. Alright, one last bout of Resident Sleeper here with Revenge, as Samus has an argument with Computer Dad. There's not much I can really say here. It's just words. It's just words. Alright, we're about to see what Destructor's in-game time is here. Clear time is 47, which is tied with his PB. Very nicely done, Destructor. Very nicely done. And the music stopped because drama is happening here. If we had a live studio audience now, it would be gasping. Yeah, I guess we can talk a little bit about text mashing here. The way text in this game works is when text starts showing up, you hold down a button, it'll go at maximum speed until that box is full. At which point you have to press a button to advance to the next box, but you can't just keep holding one button and press another button. You have to repress a button and hold it down to make it advance quickly. So it's a combination of either just mashing two buttons really fast if you're really fast and have a high pain tolerance, or just knowing when the text box will be done so that you can just hold down one button and quickly press the other button when the first box finishes. It's simultaneously easier than it sounds and also harder than it sounds. Alright, but Revenge now. Okay. Revenge, in fact, knowing about the shortcut here, which is good. I actually did not know about that shortcut for a while. But Revenge has plenty of health heading into the Sax fight, so let's see how he decides to go about it. I think Revenge may actually opt to try to just fight it on the ground, which is pretty safe if you're not comfortable with the doing the freeze strat. Because the thing about the freeze strat is you have to actually fire that missile as quickly as possible behind the charge shot, because if you fire it too late, you will not refreeze the Sax. So let's see what Revenge tries to do here. Alright, yeah, Revenge is just going to fight it on the floor, which is quite alright. But as you can see, though, the Ice Beam, even at this point, will do a lot of damage. And while the Sax is screw attacking around, if you collide with the Sax while you're both screw attacking, it will knock you out of screw attack. So you can't just be screw attacking around and expect to avoid all damage. But Revenge finishing off the Sax's first form. Time for phase 2. Let's see if we can get the quick kill here. Diagonal shot set, and finishing off in 3 charge shots, still solid. And here we go. Probably going to try to fight the core on the ground as well. This is a generally reliable way of doing it. You don't have to worry about taking too much damage here. And like that, just like that, Revenge has finished off the Sax and on his way to send the station crashing into the channel, into the planet.
Propulsion sequence activated. Destination planet 388.
All right, so Destructor, unfortunately, not gonna be able to pop in here for an interview because folks sleeping in the house. But Destructor can still answer some questions for us in the chat. So Destructor, congratulations to you on finishing race and winning. Matching your PB, no less. How'd you feel about that run as a whole? Alright, Revenge making his way down to the Omega. Oh, didn't know it was going to try for the low height, but does decides to just run into the Omega room here. Well, let's see if Revenge tries to go for the quick kill or just tries to deal with it in the slow but safe way. Alright, Destructor responds to my question with thank you, and it was messy at some points, mainly because he was messing around in the chat. Well, Destructor, that's kind of what you get for trying to do co-commentary in the chat while you're racing. But still, is very well played.
To destination.
Alright, it's time to give the Omega the what for. Oh, Revenge trying to go for the quick kill was a little bit too far forward. Didn't quite get the visual cue. Yeah, so your downside bit. The Omega slashes do 1 E-tank of damage, and they stun you momentarily, so you have to... You gotta be careful, because if it gets too far to the left, it can ruin your day. Oh boy. This could be trouble. Oh no! Got double hit there, Revenge. Should still be fine, just has to make sure to get the charge shots and get the Omega to back off. Should be fine, just... keep doing that, just like that. Got him. Revenge getting a little bit dicey there, but finishing the job. And here comes the ship. And with that, Revenge is done. I think Revenge forgot to done. Okay, so bear with me here for a moment. But Destructor basically remarks that he's happy with the way his run went. And can't say I blame him. That was a solid 47, which is very close to the much vaunted 45. All right. And Revenge duns an SRL chat with an SRL time of 1:30:33. So now we just have to get through that dialogue, and we'll see what his in-game time is. Oh, and Revenge announcing to us in the Discord that is a PB. Oh, actually, Destructor's going to join me here, so we'll drag him on down. Oh, so you can hear me, but you still can't. Can you hear me?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine. Again,
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You said you felt pretty good about that run. You got the good RNG, and your execution felt solid, but it was a little bit messy.
Yeah, I was just messing a little bit in chat somewhere, so I was just at some points like missing the elevators a little bit, or just the nav room platforms to trigger, or some easy jumps, but overall it was not costly mistakes. And when I did, it was just a little bit like 0.5 seconds or 1 second lost, and it was not a lot, so it was great, and RNG was great as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I also remember being a pretty got me pretty hyped up there when you're getting multiple doubles on the Ridley core. That was some
Yeah,
solid stuff.
the boss I'm the most proud about on that run was Metroid, because I did like the perfect, both of his faces were perfect. First one, I did it really fast with the safe spot, and then I didn't waste a single missile on the second phase. And on the core, I got double +1, which is what you need. So that's good, but I got really scared on Ridley. Brought very low.
Yeah, but in the end, you pulled it off, made it look easy.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let's see if Revenge wants to pop in here as well, say a few words. Give me a second. Alrighty, let's just pull him on in here. Hello, Revenge. GG, congratulations on that PB.
GG, Revenge.
You're kind of quiet. I can't hear you very well. Revenge, can you hear us? I think Revenge should be having a little bit of microphone trouble there.
Probably.
Well, let's see what Revenge's in-game time is. Hopefully you managed to bring it down at least a minute here, saying it was a PB, so let's see that RTA PB translates into an in-game time PB.
Alright, I can hear you guys. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Revenge.
How you all doing today? Good run, good race.
Good race, yep. On both sides, apparently.
Yeah, that was a PB for me. I was warming up this morning and I got a 57, but now I'm down to a 56. And what better circumstances to do it than a clutch type setting, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you're pleased with that PB. I mean, it's a minute faster than your one that you said you got earlier. So, but how'd you feel about that one overall? What felt good? What felt bad?
I didn't die to box, and I got the 2-shot on Ceres, which, like, up in the last week or so, up until now, has been miss and miss, to say the least. So I got that, and by my standards, it's a good run, and like I think I'll be able to do some stuff in the losers bracket now.
Great. Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do then on your next race.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to the next time, and I wish Destructor the best going forward in his future matches.
Thank you. Hope the best for you as well.
Right on,
You've been
brother.
pretty consistent. If you say that you run 2 runs today and got 2 PBs in a row, it means that consistency is there and skill also. So the most you play the game, the most better it will go. So I guess you can do something in losers bracket.
Yeah, I'll get there eventually. But for now, today was a win for me. So, and I hope everyone that was watching the stream enjoyed it as well.
I think they did. All right, but let's take a quick look here at the bracket and see what's going to happen next. So, winner Destructor, you won this round. You're going to advance to face off against
Monkey or his opponent. I don't remember who.
Dan React.
Yep.
So you're going to face off against the winner of that round. Revenge, you drop down to the losers, and you're going to face off against, looks like, the loser of that very round, actually. So each of you is going to face off against one of the two of them. We'll just have to wait and see who it is.
Looking forward to it.
All right, though. I want to say, I don't think we have anything. We don't have anything happening in this channel until 6. So you have a few more minutes, but we probably want to give them some time to set up. So, anything else you guys want to add? Any final thoughts? Any words for your adoring fans? Any words for your upcoming opponents?
Well, then thank you for all the people tuning in the stream. So I hope you just enjoyed the race and we gave you great content, and hope you'll come back for the few races that we'll have.
And same on my end. Thanks to everybody that hung out and had a good time with us. If you like what you saw, try giving Fusion a run. It's an easy game to learn, difficult to master.
It is, and obviously also a big thank you to Crunchy for doing the commentary. I was actually really enjoying it. I had 8 earphones and both headsets, so I was listening to the stream and running at the same time. It was a lot of fun.
Well, I had a lot of fun doing it, but I couldn't have done it without you guys giving me something good to talk over. So, give these guys a follow. Destructor and Revenge put on a great show for us.
I had everything turned down because I had up the stream in the beginning, but I was keeping too focused on that, and I wasn't really optimizing well. So I just closed everything down and figured if I'm gonna have a chance to win, I need to be focused on what's going on and see what happens. But I'm definitely going to go back and watch it, and hopefully it's entertaining.
Well, I hope you enjoy watching, because I know I certainly did. But coming up next on Speed Gaming 1 here, we actually have, looks like a Cuphead race coming up. Starting at 6 on this channel. If Cuphead's not your speed, we have the Super Mario Bros. 3 Randomizer on Speed Gaming 2, and Sonic Adventure 2 tournament continues on Speed Gaming 3. But if you want more Fusion, which, I mean, why wouldn't you? This tournament's fantastic so far. At 7 p.m. on Speed Gaming 3, we have another Fusion race tonight, and that one is... Oh gosh, that's my race. It's Strizer86 versus me. So if you want to watch another race later on tonight, and Strizer and I have a PBs that are that are actually pretty close. So it should promise to be a good race. I'm definitely starting to get a little sweat a little bit for this one. So be sure to come on back for that. Otherwise,
Good
you
luck
got any
on
final
that
words? Oh, thank you.
No final words, I guess.
Okay.
It's alright.
Well, once again, congratulations, Destructor. Good luck to you in your next round match.
Thank you very much. You as well.
Thank you. And everyone out there watching, hope you all enjoyed it. Please come on back for more Fusion later tonight and the rest of the month. And we'll see you all next mission. Have a good one.
See you, everyone.